Here's what Kareem told the Los Angeles Times. He said, Andrew has been up and down on that issue. There are times he wants to play, do a great job, and he goes out and does it. Then there are other times where it seems like he's not focused. When I first started working with him, he was eager to learn. He appreciated me shortening the learning curve. Once he figured he did everything he wanted to do in terms of learning, he didn't want me to bother him constantly going over the fundamentals. So, Skip, I will start with you. Do you agree with Kareem?
Stephen A., Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is dead wrong about this. And he basically disqualified his comments with the last line that Jamel just read. He still resents the fact that Andrew Bynum quit listening to all that he was trying to educate him on, that Andrew got to a point where he said, I've heard enough, I've learned enough from you. The up and down issues that Kareem refers to, Bynum, will he or won't he be into this game or that game, were caused in large part by the fact that Andrew Bynum was playing with a man who took the most shots in the league, and I'm talking about Kobe Bryant, and that Andrew Bynum was playing in the post with another high-volume shooter in Pau Gasol, and that Andrew Bynum from night to night just couldn't get the ball enough. And when he didn't get the ball, he got disinterested on both ends of the floor. I don't condone it, but that was part and parcel of that problem that I don't think will be a problem in Philadelphia. And I got to ask Kareem, have you really caught Dwight Howard's act? All that clowning around that Dwight's known for doing, all that shoulder shrugging, I don't take it all that seriously. I mean, hey, at least Andrew Bynum has a big chip on his shoulder while Dwight plays with a big shoulder shrug. And at least Andrew Bynum wants the basketball in the fourth quarter. Dwight does not want the basketball because he can be inept with it. And at least Andrew Bynum can make clutch fourth quarter free throws as opposed to Dwight Howard. So I'm sorry, I'm on Bynum's side on this one.
Well, you would be. Allow me to educate you about a couple of things. First of all, before we even go to a different subject, Skip Bayless, watch your mouth about the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the greatest players in NBA history, the all-time leading scorer. And oh, by the way, a six-time NBA champion. He has as many rings as Jordan. I see, and the most unstoppable offensive move in NBA history. Ask anybody who knows.
I don't care.
If you are Andrew Bynum, don't interrupt me. Listen. When you are Andrew Bynum, I think Andrew Bynum's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. I've talked to him on many occasions. He's never rude to me. I mean, I think he's a really decent dude. But you've got a lot of people who have said this about him, Skip. They don't know about his motor. He's incredibly temperamental. The kind of things you chide Dwight Howard about in terms of playing around, well, it's on the opposite ends of the spectrum as it pertains to Andrew Bynum. We know he's 7'1". We know he's 290 pounds. We know he's a force to be reckoned with and universally recognized at the very least as the second best big man in the game. The Sixers are lucky to have him. He's local there. New Jersey is where he's from. All of those things are going to help him. But you have to understand, the word out about Andrew Bynum are three things. He's incredibly temperamental and moody. He seems to care about his cars. He's got at least 12 of them, his cars and his money, okay? And on top of it all, sometimes because he's so temperamental, he picks and chooses when he wants to play because he gets annoyed, not because he's playing around, but because he gets annoyed. You might blame Kobe Bryant, but some people will learn to play with one of the greatest players who's ever played this game. You talk about a high-volume shooting in Pau Gasol. Andrew Bynum averaged 13 shots a game. For a vast majority of the season, Pau Gasol was averaging 12. So when you sit there and you look at it from that perspective, Mike Brown's rival clearly got Andrew Bynum more involved than he had ever been, which was why he was a first-time All-Star averaging 18 and 11, all right, last season. Don't sit there and point the finger at everybody else. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of the greatest players in NBA history. It would be one thing if you're Andrew Bynum and you've been in the league for 10 years. That would be different. But when you turn around and your breath smelling like Similac, you're still wet behind the ears, you're a young pup. And one of the greatest centers to have ever played this game is trying to give you tutelage, and you're saying, oh, I know enough, and you're not even 25 yet. That's a problem.
Well, is it? Or does Kareem just have an axe to grind because
Yes.
the kid just turned him off? Maybe he'd learned all he could from Kareem
But I'm saying,
Abdul-Jabbar.
you don't have a problem? You don't have a problem with a 23 or 24-year-old sitting there and looking at one of the greatest to have ever done it saying, I've learned enough?
Yeah, but
you don't have a problem with that?
Well, what I have a problem with is you're exaggerating the fact that this went for a couple of years of education, and at some point, Bynum just got tired of it, that Kareem was nagging him with point after fundamental point, and I'm okay with that. He felt like, I need to go now, you've taught me enough, now I need to figure out how to execute it and translate it into the game of basketball.
Skip.
I'm fine with that.
Skip.
How many
It's called
coaching jobs does Kareem have
It's called
now?
coaching.
Okay.
The great Larry Brown had the same complaint about him. The great Pat Riley had the same complaint about him. About the only coach we never heard anyone complaining about was Phil Jackson. Everybody else in the coaching profession hears the same complaints, but it's par for the course. It's what comes along with it. And when you are competing for world championships, meaning at a very, very high level, you need to know the nuances. Repetition needs to be a part of your game, and that's what being a professional is.